Hey friends, welcome once again to the International Fab Talk Show. My dear friends, we are really happy to be connected with you every single day, creating awareness and bringing beautiful things across our table to share it with you. And dear friends, thanks for the love that we are receiving every single day. Dear friends, today let us get to know what is coaching, what is training, and what is counseling. Are they all the same? Training, coaching, and counseling, do they have the same meaning? Are they synonyms, or are they something different? Today we are going to have our session being discussed and going into depths to understand these three terms by none other than Miss Darshini Shivakumar, our special guest and our celebrity who has volunteered to come on the Fab Talk show and share her views today on this special topic: coaching, counseling, and training. Am I right, ma'am?
Yes, you are. You're right.
Ma'am, the first thing I'll give you the choice of answering, not asking, because I'm doing the asking part. I'll give you the choice. Which one shall we, touch upon first? Is it counseling, coaching, or training?
I'm gonna start with training first, and then come to counseling, and then come to coaching. So whoever is listening and the virtual audience will get a brief idea as to when to approach whom.
Very right. Yes, dear, with training. So friends, let's get to know what actually is training, and then we'll go down to the next two topics. So let's make it clear today. Clarity is power. And so let's get some clarity today on training. Over to you, ma'am.
Once again, I want to start this, sharing of this knowledge part by thanking, yet giving me another opportunity to come and talk here. When you come to training, we have often seen situations where we see that employees has been fired from organizations. Instead of, when you see employees, fired out of an organization, basically it's not because they are weak in doing something, or it's not because they're not capable of doing something. It's because lack of training or lack of knowledge in what they do. Instead of firing them, instead of, pointing out their mistakes, rather, why not give them the training, give them the enough knowledge regarding to where they are going low or weak, give them the training instead of firing them. See, every individual, everyone in this world has some kind of weakness, or there are few strengths also which each individual carries. If you train them, very important, rather than ignoring that, you're not good for nothing, or saying you're not good for nothing, or you're not capable of doing something, instead of saying that, train them. But there's nothing going to go wrong when you're going to train them. What happens when we start training individuals in our own organization? They build their skill set, they build their competency. You're giving them a positive learning environment, which is very important for their personal development or their personal growth, along with when they grow with the organization. And that's where training plays a part. In every aspect, whichever individual from whichever hierarchy of the organization, you give them the training. On the process of training, you will also end up learning something. Yeah.
Yes, dear.
So that is training, basically giving them the competency, or basically giving them the skill set to reach where they want to reach. Because in training, you'll be able to identify what needs to be worked around. You have any questions, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, I get this. Instead of, taking away employees, instead of, removing them from the organization, you giving us such a beautiful technique and, tactfully dealing with employees, like give them the required training where they are not good or where you think they need training. Give them, support them. Instead of creating more of unemployment, why don't you recruit, no need to recruit new ones. The present ones, give them the required training, the right amount of training, the right kind of training, the right resource person. Wonderful, ma'am. Because recently we had this, especially in the US, most of the employees were laid off. All of a sudden, they just got notice just 3 or 4 hours before they were removed from the organization. Actually, they should give a 3 months notice. But this was very sad when we seen, on the spot, people were removed from their jobs. So instead of doing this, all the organizations, the corporate sectors, I think you all have to focus on, providing the required training, the right amount of training, the right kind of training, the correct resource personnel to come forward and, give the best training such that your employees give you the best. Wonderful, ma'am. We really applaud you for bringing this beautiful point today and sharing with us.
Thank you so much. Because this is where, this is my specialty. When people come to me, somehow I feel that is my biggest strength. I easily find out what is the strengths in other person and help them to grow with that, rather than pointing out on the weakness part.
Wonderful, beautiful.
If it is not gonna bother you next 5 seconds, it's not even gonna bother you next 5 years.
Yes, dear.
Why bother?
Ma'am, I have a very important question here to ask. Do you think online trainings or offline trainings are useful? Which one? Both are equal, or maybe there's a difference in the online and offline training?
In my suggestion, I would say offline, because the personal interaction, the physical feel, touch, and the ability of trying out things. Because what happens in online is people are either off video and we don't even know if they're sitting and listening. Even if they're sitting and listening, they're doing some other job on the side, which will not give them that effective or efficient use of the knowledge which a trainer is putting into the session. So I would say it's always offline is better, because you build your confidence. You remove your stage fear. See, why do we go for trainings or this personality development or transformation classes? Basically, to break your limiting barriers or to break your limiting belief and to remove that fear which has been blocking you from being your best version of yourself. That's where we come in. That's why we have trainers like me or anybody who's in this field. But it all comes with self-commitment. Go ahead now.
We have a question here put up in the chat box. Darshan Kumar, he says he prefers online. He's a coach and a trainer amongst us today now on the platform. He says, I am taking trainings online and I am catering to several people, not only within India, not only in my state. And I guess let me see what's his state. Yeah, he is from Punjab. He says not only for the people of Punjab. I am giving my training sessions for people not only in Punjab. It's an online training session where I'm able to connect with a vast number of participants across India and across the world as well. So I prefer online training sessions. What do you have to say? A larger audience he could.
That way you will be able to connect larger audience. But whenever you're doing an online training, make sure that, we give it in a way where it is as effective as an offline training. And that's where your skill lies as a trainer. It's not just coming, taking the session, leaving it there and going. That's not the thing. But you have to make sure that every step, the audience, the individuals who's sitting with you for the training, make sure each and every person is understanding each and every concept which is being taught for them to put it into practice. Wonderful. Very important. It's not just about you coming, taking session and then going.
I like the way you put this, ma'am, very clearly, crystal clear, my friends. And of course, asked our guests who are here with us today. Ma'am has said, let it be effective. In fact, more effective than an offline training. Put a lot of effort in the online training, more effective, and give your best shot to it and see that all are involved. No being off camera. Let them come on camera. Let them be on screen visible. If there's any activity to be done or any speaking to be done, no being off camera. Wonderful, ma'am. I really love this concept. And in this way, you could reach across the world, across the globe, and then you can just share your knowledge, not only within your state or in your country, it could be any country in the world. Yes, dear.
So it's important because it's not just about they coming, attending your session and leaving. They've come to you because they've believed in you, they've trusted you so much. So it's not just, you need to give them that helping hand that they can approach us at any given point of time. It is not only during the training period, but also holding hand every time whenever they need us. That is also next important factor here.
Yes, ma'am. We have another question popping up, ma'am, in the chat box, and that is from Sudesh. Sudesh says, "Dear ma'am, is there any difference between training and workshop? Are they both the same?"
See, basically it's the same thing, but used in different words. Basically, what happens is wherever you go, they say it's training. Moreover, you hear it as workshops rather than a training program as such, because workshop is basically where it's more of activity based, but training as such is like you have activity plus you have your knowledge front also.
Cool. That's nice. Hey, Sudesh, I'm sure you might be very happy with this answer. Yeah, thank you, Sudesh, for that wonderful question. Yes, ma'am. Maybe now slowly, move on from training. Do you have anything else to share on training, dear? No, I have a question like this. I have a question like this from my side personally. Is it really required to have trainings every now and then or once in a while? I hope you get my point.
Yes. See, it is good to have every now and then, because training is a place where constant learning, and that learning should never stop, because life never stops teaching you. So I would say never stop learning. It has to be in and out. If you can spend time every day learning something, that is the best thing you can do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great. Dear friends, now we'll move on to coaching. Now let us understand what is coaching. To me, I always find this confusing, training and coaching. Now we are here with our special guest and celebrity, our resource person for today, Miss Darshini Shivakumar. Dear ma'am, we'd like to get a clear-cut picture of what is training and what is coaching now. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for bringing up this question right now. Basically, in training sessions, what happens is we impart our knowledge to the audience, whoever is sitting in front of us. We impart our knowledge and make sure they also, take part in activities and understand the concepts very clearly. That is your training side, to put in layman's terms. When you come to coaching is just that, kind of an, it can sound cliche, but it is that kind of a word where it's basically asking the right kind of question to come to clarity. See, sometimes, I have heard people coming and telling, why do you keep questioning? But I ask back to the client that, do we ask the right questions to find the right answers? Mostly it will be a no. We don't ask the right questions to find out the right answers. Because in coaching or in any self-transformation sessions, clarity, conviction, and courage is something which you need to become the best version of yourself. If you don't have the courage...
If I may disturb you now for a minute, if I may interrupt, not disturb.
Sure. Go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead.
We have the courage. Many of the youngsters today, especially the youngsters I'm talking, they have the courage, but they don't have the clarity.
I'm saying clarity comes with conviction. Say something is not working out for you, and you still accept that, you still, you still know that you can change it, but still you're not accepting that fact that methodology or that pathway is not working for you. So you need to change. So you should be ready to change also at the same time. And that leads to clarity. If you know that something is not working, you should be ready to change it. And changing, coach can only give you the choice of changing. If you cannot agree to it, then no one can come and help you. No one can help you. Because, okay, go ahead.
Yes, dear, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
No, see, because what happens is coaching comes from this basic thing that they create a pathway for you. They ask you the questions. They create that pathway or that action plan which you need to follow. Yes, you have an accountability partner like a coach with you. You have to walk the path. I can show you the path, but you will need to walk the path. Yes, there'll be ups and downs. Sometimes bounce back will also happen, but it's okay. Stay consistent. And you need to be very patient with yourself. Because
if I may interrupt you for a minute. With regard to the sports industry, they say my coach, he is the coach, she is the coach, especially in the cricket field. I've heard this often. Coaching. So do you think a trainer is more important or a coach is more important? Or both have the same value, or there's some slight difference?
If you ask me, both have the same value, but coaching is more of client derived. Basically, trainings are driven and coaching is derived. Basically, to a point, you impart your knowledge, but it is basically by asking the right kind of questions where client come up with their answers or the action plan from their end, which they can work with, not the coach. The focus is the client's outcome. What is that he or she wants out of that session? It can be two or three things, but take up one thing, make sure that client has an action plan to follow after that. If client does not has that action plan, or if he or she is refusing to do, how much ever you have a coach, there's no point having a coach.
What about a life coach, ma'am? We've heard this term, life coach. I'm a certified life coach, or I have, interacted with a life coach.
Basically, it's the same thing. Basically, if you see any famous personality, they will have a coach where they might do their daily planning. It can be smallest of the things which happens in your life, where, for example, say many clients comes with anxiety problem. Why are you getting anxious at the first place? There's something which you are scared which is going to happen in future. So basically, it is more of reprogramming, rewiring your subconscious mind in the way that you can achieve your dreams or goals. As we discussed, or as we spoke in the previous session also about goals, if you want to achieve something, first you need to have a plan in place, but more than that, you need to have a coach who guides you with right set of questions and right framework. See, it's not just about having goals and doing it. You need a system to track that goals. Very important. It's not just about doing things, but how are you going to monitor yourself?
Ma'am, I have a question now. Suppose now me or people like, in our audience, a few of them who are here with us, they are already in the training field and coaching field. If they want to shift from becoming a trainer, a coach, they want to have a shift and they want to come into counseling, take up some diploma course in counseling or complete their post-graduation in counseling and become a counselor. Is that possible?
See, that is possible, but given the fact that in counseling, you get attached with the emotional side from the client side also. And when you're in this kind of an industry, you should be very careful that you don't get attached with the client's emotional side. You have to be very careful with that, because say you are dealing with a person with depression. Taking an example, I'm saying you're dealing with a person with depression. If you are not associated with the emotional side, or if you're not engaged with the emotional side, you can handle it. By in case if you get attached emotionally with the client, you are losing your own health and your own mental peace there. You must have even heard, counselors saying that they feel drained out after the sessions. Why do they say that?
Yes, I've heard that.
Because in certain cases you get attached somewhere, unknowingly you get attached. That's why I said in the previous session also, which I told you, you have to keep yourself highly hydrated so that your energy, this thing is in place where you don't get depleted after the session.
Wonderful, ma'am. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that insight. What is the role of a counselor?
See, as there's something called your past, your present, and your future. Basically, if you want to get something sorted in your past, you go to the counselor. If you want a pathway and if you want to have that action plan, then you go to a coach. Counselor will help you to rewrite your subconscious mind. Coach will guide you or direct you and he or she will make you to create that action plan and makes you to do it no matter what. See, why do when you join for courses like this, counseling, coaching, and into industries like these, they always say one thing. They always say one thing, that you are working with somebody else's mind, and you have to be extra careful when you're working with somebody else's mind, because when clients come to counselors, they're already in that negative state where they don't have a good rapport with their subconscious mind. So we have to be very careful when you're dealing with clients, especially who comes in a weakened mental state. And here and there, if you go somewhere, if you do something wrong, you are really gonna mess their life up. You're really gonna mess their life up. So especially whoever is planning to get into this industry, when it comes to counseling, coaching, or anything, please be very careful. You're working with somebody else's mind, not yours. So you'll have to be very careful, because if something enters your subconscious mind, it's very difficult to erase and rewrite it.
Yes.
So you need to be very careful.
Yes, ma'am. We have a question put up by Sakshi Seth from Mumbai. She's in Thane, Mumbai. She said put up there, and she has this question. Like, the question is, she says, my coach has been biased and shows favoritism. I've experienced that, and hence I put this question up to our resource person to answer this given question. Sometimes coaches are biased. They have this favoritism towards one, maybe it could be a sports person. In fact, she is a trainer. So she was getting coached under a particular coach. And this is what she says, that this is what I've experienced, bias being shown.
Okay.
Is that right for a coach to do that? Could he or she, or could these people who have biases as coaches, could they be called as coaches? Is it fair? Is it right to call them as coaches when they have a little bias towards, of course, anyone who they are coaching? Favoritism.
Okay. See, there are people, I've seen that kind of coaches also, or I've seen that kind of people who does that also. But when you're in this kind of an industry, you should be equal with each and every client who's with you, who's associated with you. From my perspective, you should not be biased with one person more than the other. That should not happen, because everybody's clients and everybody comes to you with a problem. So you can't show favoritism, because each client comes with different different problem or different issue. So you cannot show favoritism, because that person will have a way of handling, and another person will have a different way of handling things. But their favoritism is not a thing I would personally tell you here. That I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes. I hope Sakshi said is really okay with the answer. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the role of a I just put it in this way. Is the role of the counselor more important compared to the coach or a trainer? Whose role is of more significance as of now today?
I would say having a coach is more significant these days. You need to have a coach, because sometimes if you don't have that clarity, if you don't have that conviction, maybe you'll have the courage. If you don't have the conviction and clarity, you will not able to create an action plan to follow what you have to follow. Because there are certain habits which you have to do on a daily basis. There are certain habits which needs monitoring, which needs mentoring, or whatever name you call it. Having a coach, in my opinion, having a coach is really significant these days, more than having a counselor. See, if you're coming with a problem, are you just coming to vent out the problem, or are you coming to actually get a clarity and come out of the problem? Or are you just coming to vent it out? And that is one place where client has to be clear with. See, today people are making money out of this. If it would have been easy, everybody must have done it. But today we are dealing with something which is very difficult to handle. That's your human mind. Very difficult to handle. And then we don't call coaches, counselors into this industry the richest people of the town today. You never do that. So I would say coach has more significance than counselor, from my perspective. Not defending anyone here, but it's my perspective which I'm sharing here.
Yes, ma'am. I like the way you put your answer so well, and you've given that, your point of view based on that. But at a certain point of time in the life of the clients who has a coach, we have found sometimes the coach redirecting the client to a counselor. This has happened. And what could you share on that? And why does it happen so?
Okay, to an extent, if the coach feels that he or she is not internally started to come to that clarity, then they might send you back to a counselor to do certain therapies or whatever it is, and then come back to the coach, and from there the coach picks it up. Only after you come to a certain level, you'll be able to approach a coach. Otherwise, coach will not be able to guide you. He or she might do it, but it'll be in coordination with the counselor. It'll be a mix of two.
Very good. A mix of two to sort out past issues, internal issues, such that the future is cleared up. The path is clear, and the coach
Exactly.
can take on his journey with his client
Exactly.
and move on. Wonderful, wonderful. Dear friends, if you have any questions like this, you could post your questions to our portal, that is the International Fab Talks. You can get connected with us. We are definitely ready to answer all your questions. You could even comment in the chat box as well as on the video. When you view it, you could also comment there and ask questions, and we'll get back with all the right answers. We'll work on the right answers. Yes, ma'am. Over to you again. Dear ma'am, now, if we take all these three, the coaches, the counselors, and as well as the trainers, the coaches, the counselors, and the trainers, in this industry, where is the earning potential for these people? Who earns more among the three of them?
I would say it's more on equally all the three earn. But trainings it happens on an, varied levels. It's not that consistently things happen. Yes, there are consistent trainings which happens, but again, it comes with the number of years of experience you have in your hand. That is going to lead you to getting, consistent income or whatever. But all the three, earn equally, I think so.
Oh, great, ma'am. That's really nice. Thanks for sharing. Very nice. Do you think there is a special need or there is a greater requirement for counselors on the Indian scenario now?
To an extent, yes. Because after this pandemic, after the COVID, I find people coming up with a lot of anxiety issue more than being, yes, depressed. Being depressed is also there, and being anxious is also there. So I feel, in my perspective, working with anxiety to an extent, yes, both of them helps. It depends on, it is vary from cases to cases or individuals to individuals as to what is that they want, rather than me generalizing things. You're on mute, ma'am.
Yes, dear. I always keep myself on mute, not to disturb you in any way.
Yes, it's okay.
With this, my dear friends, I guess we could end this session. Dear ma'am, do you have anything else to ask and share? You would like to ask our audience, our guests, any questions? Would you like to share something from your side?
I will share just one thing here. Please do not hesitate to go ask for help. If you feel there is a need, please go ahead and do it. If you feel you're not finding the right person, now, once we post this video on YouTube or put it on the comments, one of us will definitely answer it for you there. Or we'll give the required information how you can connect with me or ma'am here. Anyone from the audience or whoever is listening this right now. So I would say just one thing, don't hesitate to ask for help. If you feel help is required, reach out. And your mental health is also equally important as your physical health. It's equally important. I would say it's largely important with your mental health. Because if you start denying your mental health, if you start, denying your own mental health, that's when issues like skin issue, your, anxiety attacks, whatever you name it, you start getting that. So if you, at any point of time, if you feel you're unable to handle, approach. It's okay. Because somewhere we need to break that, stigma of seeking professional help is something wrong. It's not that. You need to approach when it is required. So that's one thing which I want to say. And keep yourself hydrated and with proper sleep.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, ma'am. Dear friends, we love the way ma'am put it very clearly. Seek help and seek the right help from the right kind of people. Stay hydrated. I repeat myself, stay hydrated. Am I getting it right? Stay
Yes.
hydrated. I
Yes.
just getting twisted over there with that particular word. Stay hydrated and stay tuned again to the International Fab Talks. Be in peace and spread love across the world. Of course, stay alert, stay safe, and stay safe from manipulation. Yes, friends, all the best. See you soon with yet another beautiful talk show. Have a lovely day. God bless. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.